Section 1. The Unsettled Peace. An introduction. World War II was not an accident. It was the result of a series of deliberate choices made by leaders and nations. The war grew from a collection of unresolved problems: ambition, fear, and economic hardship. Understanding these causes is not just a historical exercise. It is vital to comprehend the fragility of peace. We can see how a chain of events, like a line of falling dominoes, can lead from a difficult peace to a global conflict. The seeds were sown long before 1939. They lay in the treaty meant to end all wars, and in the scars left across Europe. This story is a sober reminder of shared responsibility. From 1919 to 1939, decisions set the world on a downward spiral toward total war. Section 2. The Lingering Shadow of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, was meant to end the war and forge a lasting peace, but helped cause the next. Germany was excluded, presented with terms, and forced to sign, a humiliation many called the Diktat. The War Guilt Clause assigned sole responsibility, enabling crippling reparations that battered an already broken economy. Severe military limits and a demilitarized Rhineland undercut security and pride, while territorial losses cut deep. Germany surrendered colonies and land to neighbors. Millions of ethnic Germans fell under foreign rule, fueling resentment. The treaty became a symbol of disgrace, exploited by extremists, above all Hitler, promising honor, arms, and lost lands returned. A determination took root: reverse 1919, by force if necessary. Section 3. The Great Depression. A global crisis began in 1929 and spread worldwide. Trade collapsed, banks failed, factories shut. People lost jobs, savings, and hope. Desperation eroded faith in democracy and capitalism, inviting strongmen with simple answers. Germany, reliant on U.S. loans, imploded when they dried up. Unemployment soared. Moderates looked helpless. Political paralysis opened space for extremists on left and right. The Nazis capitalized on chaos. Hitler promised order, jobs, rearmament, and public works, while blaming Versailles, the international community, and Jews. Abroad, depression strengthened militarists. Japan sought resources through expansion. Mussolini tightened his grip in Italy. A climate of fear and desperation fueled nationalism and militarism worldwide. Section 4. Turmoil paved the way for dictators who rejected democracy. They glorified extreme nationalism, militarism, and absolute state authority. In Germany, Hitler took power in 1933, dismantled democracy, and built a totalitarian regime. Nazism preached racial purity and Aryan supremacy, promising a millennial empire dominating Europe. Mussolini, a model for Hitler, glorified the state, obedience, and war, seeking Mediterranean and African expansion. In Japan, nationalists and militarists pushed to dominate East Asia and secure oil, rubber, and minerals. Germany, Italy, and Japan aligned as Axis powers, united against the existing world order. Aggressive expansion set the world on a collision course with major war. In the early 1930s, dictatorships probed and violated the international order. Japan invaded Manchuria. The League condemned but could not enforce. Japan quit and advanced. Italy invaded Ethiopia. Weak sanctions failed. Conquest proved aggression worked. Hitler remilitarized the Rhineland, gambling while weak. Britain and France did nothing. His prestige soared. Japan launched a brutal war in China. Hitler and Mussolini tightened their pact. They intervened in Spain, testing weapons and tactics as the peace crumbled further. Aggressors grew bolder, democracies looked passive and fearful. The stage was set for a far greater conflict. The League of Nations, created to prevent another war, was weak from the start. The U.S. never joined. The League had no army and relied on members with little will to act. Condemnations and sanctions proved inadequate against determined aggression. Haunted by WWI, Britain and France pursued appeasement, hoping concessions would secure peace. They handed the Sudetenland to Hitler. Czechoslovakia was not even invited. Declared peace for our time. But appeasement misunderstood Hitler. Concessions only emboldened him. In March 1939, he seized the rest of Czechoslovakia, proving appeasement had failed. Britain and France finally accepted that Hitler could not be trusted, and war was likely. After Prague, Britain and France guaranteed Poland, a major policy shift. Hitler believed they were bluffing and eyed territory lost to Poland after World War I. In August 1939, he secured a non-aggression pact with the USSR, secretly dividing Eastern Europe. A staged pretext preceded the invasion. Blitzkrieg, lightning war, smashed Polish defenses. Rapid, coordinated tanks, planes, and infantry overwhelmed Poland despite brave resistance. Britain and France demanded withdrawal. Hitler ignored them. On 3 September 1939, they declared war. The final domino fell. The conflict was global once more. Crises, aggressions, and diplomatic failures since 1919 culminated in the darkest chapter of the century. World War II's outbreak was a toxic combination of causes that compounded over time. From the 1918 armistice to the 1939 invasion, the path is stark and instructive. Harsh terms bred resentment in Germany, fertile soil for extremist ideologies. Economic collapse undermined democracy and empowered demagogues. Authoritarian expansion met a tragically inadequate response. Appeasement emboldened aggressors. Lasting peace needs robust institutions and timely collective action, backed by credible strength. Punitive peace, economic turmoil, virulent nationalism, and failed diplomacy are a recipe for disaster. Our duty is to learn from the dominoes that fell and ensure they are never lined up that way again.